أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. So inshallah this week we will continue from where we were left in Surah Baqarah. Let's quickly remember what we have done so far so that we can locate today's topic well. Surah Baqarah started with Quran introducing itself as ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. This is a book upon which there is no doubt. هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, guidance for muttaqin, and then started describing muttaqin. So, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, this is how muttaqin started. They do have belief in the unseen. We talked about that. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. But right after that came وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ, and they perform prayers. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, and then they give charity, in a brief translation, from whatever is given to them as sustenance. And then there was a detail coming. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. So there are those who believe in what is revealed to you and what was revealed to those before you, and they have certainty in the afterlife. أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَىٰ هُدًى مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ. They are those who are upon guidance from their Lord. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ, and they are those who receive success. This was the first group of people. What was important here? They do have belief, and then they were getting into action or acting by this belief in their personal life, and also in the life that surround them, which is the social life, let's say, by giving charity. So having a conviction and then living by it, acting by it. This was the personality type that the Quran would say, I offer guidance to those. Then came the second personality type. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. As for those deniers, it is the same for them, whether you warn them or you don't warn them, they won't believe. This was the second attitude towards revelation. So in this case, I am predetermined about my answer, even sitting before the book itself, sitting before the guidance itself. I already have my answer. I am close to answer from the very beginning. This is the second type of attitude. Whereas for the first type, in الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, these were believing in the unseen. As we were discussing this back in the day last term, said that you see something on the surface, but you are not content with it. You're not convinced with it. So you're saying that there must be something beyond it. So the unseen. So there's the expectation of what is beyond. What does this mean? Because the thing on the surface doesn't satisfy me. This was the muttaqin attitude. The second attitude, I already have my answers. You don't need to tell me anything. So this can happen in multitudes of things. So the cartoon-like example we gave was, of course, like, let's say, the bigger example nowadays. Let's say a materialist worldview says this life is going to be explained within itself. I already have the answers. If you're coming with anything beyond that, I am close to this. But in my personal life also, if I feel like I know the answer already, whatever I'm going to sit before Quran with, but I'm just looking for ways to maybe legitimize myself sometimes, or find an answer which confirms my answer rather than me trying to find an answer, I think it fits into the second category. I already have my answer. No matter what warning is going to come from the Quran, it's not going to change my attitude. And interestingly, like if you by yourself, I can do that really. I can sit before Quran and bend the words as I wish and take it to the way somehow. Of course, somebody can come and show me my inconsistency. That's a separate issue. But apart from that, I can, like this attitude can also apply to someone like me who claims to be a believer and whatnot. Yet this attitude time to time can fall upon me. Then Quran says you're not going to benefit from Quran in this case. These were the two extremities. And for the first part, it took 5 verses to describe the Muttaqin. Then for the disbeliever, Kafir, there were, I believe, 3 verses. If I don't count, let's see. Actually, just 2 verses. And then comes a third category, which is our topic for this week and probably a few more weeks. It's going to be about Nifaq, hypocrisy, and Munafiq, hypocrite. So let's first read through some of the verses, and then we will only focus on a few of them today, but just to see the big picture. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولَ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. And there are people who say, we do believe in God and the last day, the afterlife, the while they do not believe. يخادعون الله والذين آمنوا وما يخدعون إلا أنفسهم وما يشعرون. They would deceive God and those who have attained to faith, while they deceive none but themselves and perceive it not. في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون. In their hearts is disease, and so God lets their disease increase, and grievous suffering awaits them because of their persistent lying. وإذا قيل لهم لا تفسدوا في الأرض قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون. And when they are told, do not spread corruption on earth, they answer, we are but improving things. ألا إنهم هم المفسدون ولكن لا يشعرون. For verily it is they who are spreading corruption, but they perceive it not. Yeah, we can see there. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسِ. And when they are told, believe as other people believe, or as people believe, قَالُوا أَنُؤْمِنُ كَمَا آمَنَ السُّفَهَاءُ. They answer, shall they believe as the weak-minded believe? أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ السُّفَهَاءُ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. For verily it is they who are weak-minded, but they know it not. وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ. And when they meet those who have attained to faith, they assert, we believe. But when they find themselves along with their evil impulses, they say, verily we are with you, we were only mocking. Allah yastahzi'u bihim wa yamudduhum fi tughyanihim ya'mahun. God does mock them and leave them for a while in their overweening arrogance, blindly stumbling to and fro. أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى فما ربحت تجارتهم وما كانوا مهتدين. For it is they who have purchased error in exchange for guidance, and neither has their bargain brought them gain, nor have they found guidance elsewhere. So these were, and then there will continue. Like these are the descriptions, and then will come metaphors, 2 metaphors about hypocrites. But let's pause here. We will focus on the first three verses that I recited. But before we get to there, we talked about believers, we talked about deniers, and now we are talking about hypocrites. What do we expect to get out of description of deniers today? The Quran is going to talk about hypocrisy and hypocrites. What do I expect to get out of that conversation? Like if I were to come and explain you three personality types, what would you say? Or let me do it a little, like give you more, because the question sounds too open-ended maybe. Like for example, if this was a talk about, I don't know, personality types in workplace. You come to a talk, somebody is talking about personality types in workplace. You will have certain expectations. Like you will listen to it for either, like Sister Zareen fits into which personality type, and I'm going to hire a new person, which type of person shall I hire? Like this might be one attitude to it. It might be which attitude am I fitting in? What are the consequences of it? Now, Quran is describing three personality types. The first one is believer. The second one is denier, kafir. The third, like the first one was muttaqin, God conscious. The second one is kafir. And now the third one is munafiq. What do you expect to take from that before getting into the depths of it? What's the point of Quran describing hypocrites? What's our expectation? Any idea? No. 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 Sister Zareen, what do you expect to get out of this conversation today?
I feel like it's, as you said, maybe trying to figure out where I might fit amongst these three categories, because it seems like at any given moment, I could be somewhere on this like spectrum of believing or denying or maybe hypocrisy. So yeah, maybe locating myself and then maybe trying to, if I am lacking, correct myself and try to strive for the first definition of positivity.
Very good. Very good. Actually, once I remember my PhD advisor telling me about student types. There was a PhD student who dropped out later on. He said, oh, this guy is an employee. He's not a PhD student. What he meant by this was a PhD student is supposed to search for the question as much as searching for the answer as well. But by employee, he was meaning that the student just is expecting you to you assigning him a work and he's just doing it. And he says that's not a proper PhD student attitude. But he was not simply gossiping about that student to me, actually. He was telling me that don't be an employee. Be a proper PhD student. I am seeing the traces of you being an employee, behaving like an employee. You shouldn't be. You really need to take the initiative yourself. This is what a proper PhD student should look like. Right? Now, when Quran is opening up the speech by describing itself as guidance, and then saying that taqeen, the God-conscious personality, which we talked about before, is the type, is the attitude that can benefit from this. And then denier who already has an answer, he thinks, before sitting the book, he cannot benefit at all. But it says there's a third personality type, which is like, if you like, a flip-flop, here and there. There might be this type of an attitude, which is a gray zone, pretty much. Am I in that gray zone? Because, yeah.
I feel like it's only mentioned because you don't want to be in the middle. You don't want to be in the gray zone. So if you feel like, oh, I'm praying in public because I don't want people to see me, that's like worse than if you did not pray. Or that's what my parents told me.
I mean, that's a good point.
Like if you're doing, if you're acting God conscious for the sake of showing others, then you're not God conscious.
Very good, very good.
Then you're just a member of society.
Very good. And in this regard, no matter how much I seem to be interacting with Quran, am I benefiting? Because this is really about how much would a hypocrite know that they are hypocrite? This is an important question that we will ask. Since it's a gray zone, it might be that I can fool myself that I am not in gray zone. This is the dangerous part. Because the first two groups were they are clear in their agenda within themselves. One of them says, I already have the answer, the denier. I don't need your answer. The other one is saying that, no, this existence on the surface, there must be something more than that. It doesn't simply satisfy me. Like somebody bringing you a rose, you say that something more than the rose is happening. This is a sign of love, for example. So you want to go beyond the physical rose itself. But when it comes to this hypocrisy, the person themselves is not clear, maybe, or can fool themselves. This is why Quran is warning about this in depth. The description of munafiq is way longer than muttaqin. Muttaqin is 5 verses. Kafir is 2 verses. When it comes to munafiq, 12 verses is going to talk about the description of munafiq. And it's not to identify munafiq out there. It is to identify the traces of hypocrisy within me. It's saying that be careful. Are these traits 50%, 20%, 30%, 80%, do they exist in? Because this is going to be a state where you don't benefit, but you don't feel like it either. Like you might be, or I might be fooling myself that everything is okay. Actually, this is why in the time of Prophet, let's go back to the historical background for a second. When Quran was first being revealed, in Mecca, there were believers and then there were disbelievers. Like it's a clear distinction. Once the migration happened to Medina, then there are those who are appearing to be believers, but they are, which later on we are realizing, like history showing us, that they were betraying the believer society. So it was really a social phenomenon as well. So this is why actually once somebody was talking about this 3 category. It was, I guess, the first day of Ramadan, giving snippets of verses. And it was mentioned in one of those brief discussions that, well, munafiq, this is referring to those people back in the day, 14 centuries ago. Like today, there are a lot of disbelievers. There are believers. I mean, I think you guys are believers. Disbelievers, they're out there. And munafiq, like this was a social phenomenon at some point, but it's not a thing at this moment. This shouldn't be the case. It is talking about me for all 3 categories. Aspect of me which is searching for guidance. Aspect of me which says, well, I already know the answer. You don't need to explain it to me. And the third aspect, as we will now come to, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولَ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. And there are people who say, we do believe in God and the last day, while they do not believe. Okay, so let's open it up. So, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ, like there's this emphasis of saying. They say, we do believe. Like it's a verbal. How important is saying something? What do you think? To proclaim. Yes.
I think you can say something without meaning it entirely, because I'm thinking of like maybe from some personal experience, like I guess I didn't like grow up learning a lot about Islam aside from Sunday school stuff, and then later on learning more, maybe I found myself like more like wanting to learn more and wanting to follow it. But then if I try to, for example, if I hear people who I respect and admire saying like mashallah a lot or alhamdulillah, maybe for me initially, because I'm not used to saying these things, it's harder to say such like dhikr to people, even though like I want to and I see value in saying it, like it feels kind of awkward on my tongue to say such things when I'm in the past. I haven't. So I guess, I don't know, I think it is important to start saying it, but sometimes in the beginning it feels maybe not as, it still feels superficial, and then like maybe as we keep learning and experiencing.
And in Quran, actually, you will find it quite a lot that it will start, many verses will start by saying, say, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, say Allah is one. Or Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun, say all disbelievers. Like it really invites us to verbally pronounce what is inside us. And this is the case with like calling people to azan. We verbally invite people. So saying has an important role. But the problem is acting upon what I am saying. Because this was a definitive distinction for muttaqin. Like the very second verse in Surah Baqarah, it was saying, when it was describing muttaqin, it mentioned them as they believe, and then they were doing prayer, and then they were giving charity. Like they were doing three acts. The first one was the act, the verb of having conviction. The second one was living by it with the prayer. And the third act was giving charity in social life, in the environment that we interact with, putting it into action. But in here, يَقُولُونَ آمَنَّا, they do say we believe. آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, so it goes even further. I believe, or we believe in God, and we believe in afterlife, the day to come, for the last day. وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ, so there's a small detail here. وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ, although they do claim that they believe or they have conviction, وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ, this is actually a proper translation would be something like that, rather than they are not believers. While they, while they are not believers, like this and now, in their essence, they are not believers. Like this act never became their essence, because the act of iman, it is a verb, and it needs to be an ongoing act, because I keep changing, my environment keeps changing, the interactions keep changing, and iman means what? What does that? How did this happen? What is the message beyond this? And this is a very, very real question, isn't it? Like when, for example, if you find an envelope which says, watch out, you are making mistakes, we have an eye upon you, written in an envelope, you find it in your postbox. I guess you will get a little threatened, right? Who is blackmailing me? So you will start thinking, where did this come from? What does this message even mean? So you call 911 and say, oh, look, I find such a thing. Somebody's after me. Then, let's say you find another envelope next day. In there is $100, and it says, thank you. Again, you would ask, why, where, how, right? The other day, a car accident happens. Do you ask the same question? Where did this come from? What is the meaning behind that? Why did this happen? What am I supposed to take out of that? Or do I simply go with the guy was drunk and that's it? End of story. Like no message, no nothing, nothing beyond it. It's just whatever is there. I already have the answer. The guy was drunk, finish. I'm not seeking for any further answer, right? I didn't ask the proper question here. So I didn't put a conviction in here that there was something beyond the act, like يؤمنون بالغيب, the first personality type. The first personality type would search for a meaning beyond what is happening. The second personality type says, I already know what that means. The guy was drunk, right? So, so this act of conviction needs to be renewed in every new act because I am living a life every new day. This is why when I say, oh, I believe, saying, yeah, there is a word in your tongue, but is it your state? Did it become thoroughly digested in every aspect of your life? It's a question that I need to ask myself. Okay, yes, I am convinced that some superpower must exist. Partially, I say there must exist a God or something, like a partial conviction. But how about when I get a promotion? Am I also convinced that there must be something beyond this promotion, or is it simply I got it because I was successful? I already have the answer for that. So I'm not a believer of this act, for example. When it comes to me getting a promotion, I don't think that God has anything to do with it. Plain and simple. I did. I'm successful. It's me, right? I'm denier in this case, as Quran is putting the picture. The denier mentality, by this, I don't mean that you are going to burn in hell. That's not my point. My point is that with this mentality, if I already say that the answer is clear, no matter how many verses of Quran you bring to the table, I would say, I know, man, don't bother. I am a hardworking person, hence success, period. Why are you trying to just put God into the picture? That would be the attitude. Yes.
So something similar about this word interesting. The last part is not negating what is being said. So what I mean with that, they say they believe in God and day of hereafter, day of judgment, let's say, last day. Okay? And as you said, when it's being said, it is in the word form, but negation comes for, it doesn't say, for instance, وَمَا هُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. It says, وَمَا هُمْ بِيُؤْمِنُونَ. So, as if, but just to clarify what we mean with this verb and noun stuff, like for instance, when you say, I wrote this article or story, like you say, I wrote this story. And it only tells that you wrote a story, that's all. But when you say I'm an author, now in the noun form, the first one is the verb. So when you put it in the verb form, it's limited to the context and the time. You just wrote a story, that much we know. When you say I'm an author, now it's beyond time and context. We know that you keep writing something, because otherwise you wouldn't call yourself author. So that similarly, it says, yes, they believe, as if implied, they believe that there's a God. They believe there's a God. In the verb form and in the past tense, they believe there's a God. They also believe that there will be an end day, a judgment day, let's say. That much they believe. But they are still not a believer, in essence. Anything in between, it's not there for them. So what we see, how we see it for ourselves, again, as you beautifully said, forget about some historical context or, with some other people, how it applies to us. We say, of course there's a God. God creates everything. And there will be an hereafter. When we die, we will go to hell or heaven. But when it comes to daily things, daily routines, God is not there. Things happen by themselves. At most, we say God set up a machinery and it works by itself now. There are natural laws, physical laws, chemical laws, whatever. But these laws, these machinery is working by itself. So in my daily routines, from 1 minute to another minute, unless I'm talking about the very beginning, the Big Bang, or very end, when I die, God is not there. Why you are angry? Because you said me something bad. Why you are happy? Because I saw a beautiful cat and it was so fun. Like, how did the food came in front of you? Oh, I cooked it. Why you are sick? Oh, because my neighbor was sick and, sneezed on me. And, I got it from my neighbor or my friend. With every explanation, we have people, we have bacteria, we have dust, cars, rain, anything but God. We don't need God. So that's the state that's being mentioned here. When you are me, it means when you do it all the time, whatever happens to you, you say, okay, where's God in this picture? What is God telling me? Because whatever happens, created by Him. I'm angry, and this anger is created by Him. I cannot make myself angry. She cannot make me angry either. She cannot create any emotion in me. So there must be a creator of this anger, and there must be a message behind that. That's me.
Very beautiful. Yeah. And this actually now it's clearly opening it up for myself. I really find it I feel like I am being exposed in this case. If I question myself, where am I in this picture? Quite a good portion of my moments are in that state. It's likely that I am in that state. And my next question in this regard, how could this verse be relevant and be guidance to us? Because this is how the book started. It said this is a guidance upon which there's no doubt. It's so certain. The book is, Revelation seems to be super confident about what it is saying. And it says it's also undoubted for you. If you really pay attention to, you will see that it's so certain. Do I ever find myself in such a position? I say that I believe, but I am not a believer. This might be a case, or I need to watch out, at least let's put it this way. I'm not, everybody, of course, know what's going on in themselves, but I do claim that I believe, but different aspects of my life doesn't really fit with it, doesn't really match with it. So belief is a claim in my mouth, or at some point I say, yeah, for that part, I believe, but when it comes to another parts, it's not there ever. And just to reiterate one point, to make sure we are on the same page, by belief in here, we do not mean simply that wishful thinking or wishy-washy feeling of, I believe you're a good person type of a statement, but it's rather a firm conviction saying that there must be something beyond that. Pretty much like if you receive this envelope in your post box, you're saying that this was not there yesterday. there must be someone behind me, or somebody is making a very bad joke to me. Like there is something beyond this simple paper. It's not simply ink and paper. This clearly is a threatening message, and I need to see what's beyond this. You're sure about it. It's not a wishy-washy feeling. Likewise, having this conviction of what we are talking about here. Okay. Any comments before I go to the next verse, or any questions? No, we're good. So, interestingly, now says, يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ. They would deceive God and those who have attained to faith, the while they deceive none but themselves and perceive it not. يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ. They would deceive God. The question is, how does one deceive God? Or think that they deceive God? What does that even mean? Like for this mental state or this personality type, and when I say personality type, maybe it feels like somebody is always like that from birth to death, but rather maybe we should take it as a mental state. What does it mean to deceive God? How can one deceive an all-knowing anyways, right? Yeah.
This is for the denier, right?
This is for a hypocrite.
Oh, yeah. I would say, not having conviction in prayer, like just doing prayer for the pure stance.
Mm-hmm.
Like even though you're telling God, I'm like being vulnerable right now and speaking to you, there's no like emphasis behind it, right? So you're just going on about your day saying you believe in something, but you're not really backing it up by going going on.
Yeah. And how like, do you feel like sometimes you're, or am I trying to trick God? Like, trying to come with, like, prayer could be one, but trying to trick the Creator. Does this ever happen?
I guess maybe even in cases of action. So we're talking about like charitable work. So if you say you're donating and volunteering all the time, but you're only doing it once a year, you're not finding enough time in the year, you might be deceiving God by like saying you're one thing, but only acting on it once a year. I think consistency is big in religion.
Consistency is important.
Yeah.
Also, on top of that, yes, go ahead.
If you try to find loopholes in things, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna, like, let's say I'm making money from a haram source, but then I'll make a donation. And I think, oh, that cancels it out. Or something like that. If you try to find loopholes in things for yourself.
Yeah. So in this case, as if, God asked me to do it this way, but I'll find a way, bend it in a way that it's going to work for God too. Sometimes, like even sometimes our questions, like imagine if you are working in like Penn Business School. Anybody at Penn Business School here? No, so they're not going to harm anyone's feelings.
I was there today. I
You were
didn't hear.
So let's say you're paying this much money for Wharton to get a business degree. And then, of course, like you will make money by dealing with interest and whatnot, right? And then, but you also say that, okay, I believe in God and whatnot. You want to be successful, which is going to be our retreat topic for the weekend. This is the question that actually came from MSA. We want to be successful, the MSA students at Penn. But religion seems to be a hindrance to that at some point because rules and regulations are there. How can we achieve success? Of course, I don't know what's at people's heart, but sometimes we ask this question to find an answer which is going to make it work out for us, find a loophole, so that I have an answer to give to God and then do it my way. Like this could be an attitude when it comes to actions, right? This is something that happens quite a bit, actually. And even sometimes I am being neglectful of certain things. Not only it is, I don't know, like earning haram things or whatnot, but let's say my creator keeps providing me with oxygen, with health, with, I don't know, a functioning body and everything. And I'm being neglectful of offering my thanks, right? Because even if the person that the security person, as you were entering here, she probably said, "Hi, how are you?" Right? If you were to just pass by without saying, "Oh, thank you, how are you?" that would be weird, isn't it? Like you would like to reciprocate this favor. This is very human. I am being provided with so many things, but I'm being neglectful in reciprocating. And sometimes, how do I try to fix this? I say, well, at least I'm not being a disbeliever like him. Like it's better than nothing. Or sometimes I say, oh, but I am a good person. I'm not a thief. I don't steal. Like I'm a good person. Maybe I'm not praying. Maybe I'm not, because prayer is a proper way to reciprocate these things. Maybe I'm neglectful of that, but I'm a good person overall. Just go and ask my friends. Like I feel like I have an answer that I will give to God to, like one day if I face him, I have my answer. Like this might be one example of how I try to deceive God actually. And this is a conversation happening in here. I am having this conversation, internal conversation, saying, "Oh, I'll figure it out." Like I have my words to say to him. What else? Yep.
So when you first read this ayah, you asked, how do you deceive the one who knows everything? So if we continue from there, I think there's a very important implicit message in the ayah as well, which is like if I tell you, do you think John can solve the problem that you're having? Like let's say you have a really hard equation to solve, partial differential equations that you are studying. Do you think John can solve it? If I tell you that, or don't you believe John can solve it? You would say, who's John? Right? And then I say, but I told you the name, John. Isn't it enough? Right? So, no, I mean, John is just a proper name. It doesn't mean anything. You can give name John to anyone. You need some skills to solve these problems. Some properties, some qualities, right? Training. So the same way, like because we are coming from a cultural background, the Islamic culture, when we use the word Allah, we directly jump into conclusion that we know what we mean. But the word Allah is just a proper name. By itself, it doesn't, imply anything. The effect is the same as I say John or Dennis, doesn't matter. Allah is just a proper name. So when the ayah is telling that they have this notion of Allah, whatever it is in their mind, that can be deceived. If you know Allah from his actions, you know that, okay, whoever created this universe, right, must be the one who knows everything, because everything is so connected to each other. And when I study one part, I can infer everything about another part. This is how physics works, right? If you study one part of the universe, if you have the equations, you can infer everything about that part is connected to. Study flowers, you would know the mass of the sun. This is how the universe is. So you say, whoever created this flower must be knowing about the sun as well. Whoever created me must be knowing everything going in my hand, everything going in my heart. That's how you know the Creator, Allah, in a proper way. But for this type of people, Allah is just a name given to a creator, as the previous ayah suggested. It's just the one who created the universe once upon a time, and then will destroy it in future. But he probably doesn't know everything. I mean, what is coming in going through my mind, it's my personal thing.
Would he care about such an insignificant?
Exactly. Right? One of my colleagues, she said that we were talking about the creation, and she said, "I really don't think God would know everything or even care about everything." Right? So when somebody else said it, it's so funny. But I suggest you can look at yourself. Sometimes you are like this as well. Right? So we have this notion of Allah, which is not feel. It's just a proper name, empty name. And for us, it's something that can be deceived. Meaning doesn't know what's in my heart right now. I can say something, I can pray, but I'm praying actually to impress my friends around me, as you said, and he wouldn't know that. That's the notion of the hypocrisy.
Yeah. So, then there's a second aspect of it. Okay, we understood how we can think we deceive God. How about يخادعون الذين آمنوا? So they would deceive those who have attained faith. What does that mean? What is the utility of this? Deceiving somebody else, other believers. What is the point of do I do that? I guess this is my most relevant question. The first one, I definitely find it in my life. How about deceiving believers? Do I do that? What do I expect to get out of that? And why would I do that? If I do it, why would I do that? Like, there must be a reason. If I'm doing it, there must be a reason I'm doing it.
You would do that to person, like if you feel pressured by your society, like you are surrounded by people who are very faithful and you wish to impress them, you don't want to seem like you are not on, like if you're not God conscious, you're not on that path, then you would want to deceive those around you.
To fit in.
To fit in.
To fit in, I would like to do that because there might be some consequences of it.
To gain esteem. If you want to appear like one type of person, but you're actually another type of person, but you still want to have that appearance.
Mm-hmm. And yes.
I guess I was kind of struggling with like this part because sometimes I feel like you could do it, you would like maybe want to try and deceive out of the pressure, but maybe on the flip side, I don't know if it's really the flip side, but on the other hand, maybe you would want to, maybe you truly see something of value there that you like, whether you know or don't know if you have it in yourself, but you see it in other people and you want to, I know, there's the expression fake it till you make it. So like, you know, you don't have it, but you want to, I don't know, at least try to seem like you fit in with this group because you see, like, why would I go to all the effort of trying to fool people if I didn't care about it? I guess about the actual message itself. I guess you could like just want to fit in for the sake of fitting in, but I guess is it different from seeing something valuable and like or seeing someone in your life who you're like, I respect this and I want to attain to this, but I'm not there. So I'm just copying, but is that a similar
An example for that one? is, and I find myself in this situation quite a bit, and looking around, because eventually the verse will say, وَمَا يَخْدَعُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ, but they deceive nobody other than themselves, right? But they are not aware and perceive it not. وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ. Like, for instance, let's say I do some good thing. I do charity work. Okay. What's your name? Nick.
Yeah.
I come to Nick and we are just casually, okay, Nick, your name is Nick. Oh, I'm Yusuf. Nice to meet you. So we started having it. And then Nick says, what do you do? I say, oh, I work in here and there. And he says, oh, what are you doing on Saturday? So, nowadays we started a new endeavor. We are going to soup kitchens and delivering food. And I started explaining. And then Nick says, oh, wow, that's awesome. I say, oh, of course. I mean, all for humanity, we need to be good people. Like, I start selling what sort of I don't know, good-hearted, kind people, and why I do this for the betterment of humanity or this or that, right? I'm trying to sell it. I'm trying to convince you that actually I'm a good person. So I'm trying to deceive you in the first place because is it really true? Because, like, if you think about it, like, even if I am literally doing this job, even if I'm literally doing this job, which food am I distributing? Like, where did I find food from? How much did I pay for the food? Let's say I paid $5 for the food, right? I mean, we did this before, but let's briefly put this time over there again. Let's say I bought this $5 worth of apples, right? Where does this $5 go? Actually, those $5 go to the profit of the guy that I bought it from, the supermarket guy. Then the delivery guy who delivered it from some, I don't know, warehouse to there, and then went to the share of the warehouse. And then the delivery guy from farm to warehouse. And then the farmer used some chemicals and whatnot. The chemical guy got the money. Finally, the farmer got the money. All these $5 went to the labor. I didn't pay for the fruit itself. I only paid for the labor. Isn't it? Because the apple was created and none of these people created the apple. They just worked there to observe it growing. They took it from, like, farmer didn't create it. Farmer just picked it up and brought it to me. Farmer is not the creator of the apple. Apple was created, right? So likewise, now I paid $5 for the laborers. Still, I didn't pay for the apple. And then the money, the effort, the power, everything given to me is again being given by someone. It's not by me. And yet I'm coming and telling you that I did this good job, appreciate me. Who is the real person that's the real one that's to be appreciated in this picture? What is my share in here? I didn't do anything other than not denying or trying to be, I'm not going to give, like, other than making a choice, other than making the choice of not to give, I didn't do anything. Yet what I do, I'm trying to deceive you that actually I am a good person, that with me this happened. Without me it wouldn't happen. With me it happened. Therefore I'm a good person. This is such a huge lie if I think about it. What is my share in there? Like, to simplify the example a little bit, like if, what's your name? Halvashay. Let's say you're working in the finance department of Penn. And what's your name?
Anusha.
Anusha is working at Penn as an employee. So Penn finance department gives you $100, saying that give this to Anusha as her salary. Okay. And then we gather, after you gave her money, And Nick says, "Oh, what do?" You say, "Oh, I'm working for Penn Finance Department, and I distribute people's money. They are able to eat their food because of me. If I don't pay them, how is Anusha going to buy her bread?" What would Nick say? "Where did you get money from? Penn gave you the money. You're only the person, like, if anything you did good is not to steal the money. You're already getting paid yourself in the first place to pay her. Why shall I clap you to do your job? I mean, why shall I clap you for not being evil and stealing money? Well, you're trying to be appreciated because as if you are the sustainer. You are the one who really give the money. Money isn't yours. You didn't come up with the idea of, "Oh, let me go and give the money." Somebody come and ask you, "Oh, give this money to that person," right? Same thing applies for any act. Like, this is a toy example, but if we apply it to over the weekend, me going and distributing food in soup kitchen, the same thing applies. Same thing applies. Okay. So, but what I'm trying to do,
Trying to deceive me.
I'm trying to deceive you. At the same time, I'm trying to deceive God as well, saying that, "God, I have been the kindest person on earth, yet this other person who is not as kind is earning more money, is more successful in life. How dare?" Like, I am the person who does the prayer. I am the person who gives charity. Am I not supposed to be the most successful person on earth? Because I am good, right? I am trying to deceive God. I am trying to deceive the believer so that eventually I am deceiving myself. So that form of deception is quite common, actually. I mean, I catch myself a lot when I talk to people about myself and the motives, the kindness behind my acts. Say, "Yusuf, are you really that good of a person? Who are you fooling?" Like, this is a form of hypocrisy that I'm trying to, because let's take it back to where we started. There is, as Brother Birkan was saying, the all-knowing creator. Where is he in this act of me doing charity? Or where is creator in the act of me, I don't know, doing my job? Forget about any act of charity. I am a teacher. I teach classes. And if a student gives me a thumbs up, a good review and whatnot, how do I feel? Ooh, I'm good. Am I really good? Like, where does this quality of teaching properly comes from? Oh, it's mine. I am a good person. Am I really a good person? This is where now hypocrisy starts creeping in, really. And those, in my tongue, I might say that, yeah, of course, God creates everything. I'm a Muslim. In our belief, in our faith, yeah, God created everything. But when it comes to my success, when it comes to me doing charity, I did it. And I'm not being shy about saying it. Sometimes I do it very professionally so that it doesn't sound arrogant, but I do it. So this is quite prevalent in my life, but it says, you don't deceive anyone other than yourself. No, you don't deceive anyone other than yourself. But this attitude, like, this is why we are studying this attitude is harming me to receive guidance from the message. Because what is the quality here? Being this wishy-washy person, bending the message, bending the rules, just so that I receive this immediate joy of, I'm a good guy. That's all I care about. I want to receive this immediate tickling feeling of, I am good, I am nice, I am not as bad. At least such and such is behaving like this. At least I don't do that. Like, not getting, at least I'm not too bad, trying to find some sort of goodness by not being too bad. These are the attitude that I am trying to cut some corners. Yes.
I was gonna say, to part more on the deceiving part, right? Deceiving God. I feel like sometimes when you're charitable only when others are watching, but you're not charitable when it's only yourself and that other person that you're helping. I feel like that's a way of deceiving.
Yeah.
In the charitable aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do I pay attention to that? Really, This is why the very first community of believers, like they are exemplary believers, like the first order students of Messenger, Sahaba, they were constantly worried about they themselves being among those hypocrites. This is a very important thing to adopt for ourselves. Am I a hypocrite? I need to keep asking that question. I mean, right now, let's say we are doing this discussion, and I'm the person apparently who is giving this discussion. What is passing in my heart? Do I feel like I know? Do I feel like I share my knowledge with people? Do I feel like I am a good person? Like, these are the things that I need to constantly check with myself. Do I really believe, or I am pretending or speaking as if I believe? Am I thoroughly convinced or not? So, which takes me to this verse, and let's conclude with that. في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا ولهم عذاب أليم بما كانوا يكذبون. In their hearts is disease. So God increases their disease, and for them is grievous suffering because of their persistent lying. So في قلوبهم مرض. In their heart is disease. Like, what disease is that? And it's being identified as a disease of heart. Why heart?
Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy. But why is it a disease of heart? Like, what is the significance of that? Yes.
Possibly not sharing enough or being more forthcoming with life, you know. Like I don't know if that's a disease tactic, but I just feel like sometimes you just have to be fully genuine in every moment, right? Be attentive and be there for others.
Mm-hmm. So heart, like, this is not outwardly, one of the things that I can see here is it's not an outside observable disease. It's an inner disease, first of all. You cannot identify others by that, number one. Number two, in yourself, it is a very inner problem for yourself as well. You'll need to check for it. Third, when Quran mentions qalb, like heart, it is mentioning heart not only as a feeling, but also and it definitely is not this organ in our body, but it's an organ that also reasons. Like the way Quran puts heart is so mentions heart as a tool which also reasons. Like it's a way of distorted, like a disease in the way I reason, the way I feel, the way I perceive. And this disease is increasing. Like as much as I stay in the state, the Creator says, I will keep increasing it on you. Like, how does God increase that disease is my other question. As much as I find myself in this and I keep doing it more, it increases my disease. This is what I understand from that. Like hypocrisy is feeding itself. Let's put it this way. The more I act in this way, the more it becomes my norm, the more I start finding myself in that situation. So this is why catching myself is important. Otherwise, I will go deeper and deeper in it. It becomes my norm. And in the example that I give about, let's say, this arrogance, like trying to tell about my quote unquote good aspects to people and expect them to appreciate me. I mean, not everybody does this the way our president does. Like, he is very boastful about how good of a guy he is and he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. But I do that too, right? But we do it more professionally most of the time. But as I find myself keep doing this, it becomes my second nature. I think this is the problem. So that's why this verse stands there as a watch out. If you don't watch out on yourself, then that's going to become your second nature. It's that disease is going to become more pathological on your part. And then finally, I'm going a little fast, sorry about that. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْذِبُونَ. For them is grievous suffering because of their persistent lying. Two questions. First of all, do we sense this suffering in this state? Number two, there is lying in here. Like, do I experience this pain, or am I going to experience this pain? Because I needed to update the translation here. The translation was saying that they are going to see a, pain, previous pain in the future. But the word itself doesn't necessarily mean that, actually. And I would like to see it actually in here, to the extent that I act in this way, I will find myself in previous pain. But do I? As an example again, if I try to convince you that I am a very good guy by just sharing with you that how nice of a person that I am doing soup kitchen over the weekend, is it a painful thing for me, or is it a joyful thing? Do I find myself in a grievous pain because of this attitude of mine? Yeah,
I think pain will follow with the hypocrisy, right? So after you tell somebody that, like, you're joyful in the moment, and then once you're at home and you start thinking yourself, because I feel like self-awareness is good, and that's where this comes into play. Then you identify what you did wrong by misleading somebody or lying, and you have regret. And obviously, you're not going to go back to them and apologize, because then it defeats the purpose of what you were trying to do. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, yeah, that there is suffering with misleading others and and deceiving.
Actually, in academia, it's a famous thing, right? What was it called?
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Mm.
Like you're trying to, your CV is, I don't know, yesterday or the day before, I see a CV 70, 80 pages. The person was applying for a dean's position, like an 80-page CV. Every single line of it is either a paper or a grant or something, and it's a 30-year life. I simply said, if that's real, mashallah, like this is something beyond. But what's happening? Where does the word imposter syndrome come from? People do feel that because they know what they did, but the way they present it is as if it's the most important thing. They cured the biggest problems of life and whatnot. As if as an imposter, I am pretending someone as I am not. And it gives a big feeling of guilt. You know you are lying, but you have to. What do they say? Oh, it will pass. Like this is how they are trying to convince in academia, especially. They would say it will pass. You will get used to it. Like don't feel guilty about it. But the guilt is there. Just the fact that we even named it means that for human being, this way of lying gives an inner pain because I know I am lying. I know simply giving people their salary doesn't make me the kindest person who sustains them in our example, right? And when I am giving charity to someone, I am merely a distributor of what is being given to me. I'm nothing more than that, but still I'm expecting people to admire me and say that, oh, what sort of a beautiful heart you have and whatnot. Deep inside, I know I am a huge liar. Actually, I'm such a horrible person that I'm trying to steal this from the sustainer, the provider, because this is his act. It's supposed to be attributed to him, but shamelessly, I am stealing it from him and then coming and trying to sell it to you to say that, praise me. So as a punishment of this, actually, this imposter feeling is being given to me right now. It's very beautiful. The creator says, yeah, I put that pain over there, and you can experience this. This verse is a very beautiful description of human psychology, and the creator says the pain you have after you lie is my creation. I did it. It's not a natural artifact. It's not something that just happens to be. This, due to your persistent lying, I put you in this pain, even when you're on this earth. After you die, oh yeah, you guess what will happen. But even on this earth, I create you with this pain. So very beautifully then, let's conclude here. Quran is presenting me what I am up to and saying that, wake up. If you are in this state, which really you are so short-sighted, you are trying to gain this momentary appreciation of people, despite the fact that you know it's a lie, cannot benefit from the book. You're a type of a student who is trying to just copy-paste answers and then get an A. You yourself know that you didn't learn anything, but you're trying to get this degree, which doesn't mean anything. Deep inside, you know you're a huge liar, but you will try to get into certain jobs by this degree. You will feel this discomfort or lack of confidence of knowing you're nothing, and this is your punishment. And you will never benefit as long as you stay in this mindset. No matter how many courses you take, you will not learn even a single letter. You need to change your mindset. Go away from this copy-paste mindset if we apply it to learning. So if you would like to benefit from Quran, then Quran says, I cannot help you. As long as you stay in this mindset, you will not benefit from the book. Because the book is for those who are looking for finding guidance, and you're not in this mindset. Wake up. So I need to check myself. Whenever, however frequently I am in this, I need to catch myself in doing that. Any concluding remarks?
It's the last one, like you share an example of if you notice hypocrisy. That's the last one.
This one, can you this can you relate to that with a real life example? Oh, increasing the pain. Can you repeat the question?
So do we give a real life example of hypocrisy? We're supposed to, okay.
If you would like to.
I'm trying to think.
Okay. So, inshallah, we should check out for that in our lives and see how this is affecting how we receive a message. And keep in mind, we discussed this before as well. Just like Quran is a guidance, like divine guidance, revelation in word, life itself is the divine guidance in creation. So likewise, a verse like this one tells me something, a car accident tells me something as well. Or a smiling child tells me something, or a child who is crying and annoying me is telling me something. If I am in this mindset of hypocrisy, I will waste these moments and I will not receive message from there either. Ya Allah, make us benefit from the Quran, especially in those months of Quran. We are just 15 days, 2 weeks shy of Ramadan. Allah, make Rajab and Sha'ban plentiful for us and make us reach Ramadan. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة.